Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you Old World Wednesday. So for this particular week, this Old World video, I want to begin a passion project, something that I've wanted to do for many years and have been collecting bits and pieces for many years, hoping to one day get the opportunity to get this army up and running. And that is a Dogs of War army. I want to do a mercenary force for the Old World. Now, most likely I will use this as a stand-in army for Empire. I think there's enough units in there that I can use this for that and that for that and proxy everything that I need rules-wise to be able to play this force. Now, I do have quite a lot of the miniatures already. Like I said, I've been collecting for quite a number of years to get this army together, and I thought I would just test the waters today to see if people are interested in seeing a project come to life based around the Dogs of War miniatures. So the first one I'm going to do is a simple on-foot character who will act as the general of my army, and the miniature that I'll be using today is the glorious Lorenzo Lupo model. It is a fantastic kind of Julius Caesar / Roman general-esque style. He's just beautiful. Wait until you see the sculpt. Now, unfortunately, I'm missing the shield from him. I do not have his original kind of sun shield that he had. I did buy this miniature off eBay many years ago, and he did not come with it. So I had to improvise and choose something else for that. So that's what I'm going to do here today. I'm going to find a shield in my bits box or find something that'll be equivalent or something that will fit well on him and get that cut down and ready for him. So that's my idea today. Hope you guys are excited to see the result as much as I am to get stuck in. Before I get into it though, I just want to say a huge thank you to my patrons. As always, I begin every video by thanking them. Without you guys, I could not continue doing this. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for everybody that supports the channel in any way. If you're interested in getting involved with, it's linked in the description below. You got access to a private Discord server and an extra vlog style video every single day where you get kept up to date with what I'm doing, what my plans are, and you can help me tweak and make decisions and help me basically guide me into making some cool decisions, cool projects and stuff in the near future. So if that's something interests you, like I said, down below. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okay, this is the Lorenzo Lupo miniature. It is a very old, I believe it's stamped as, I think, 96 maybe. It's an old piece. Like I said, I bought it off of eBay a couple of years ago, many years ago now. And I have been dying for an excuse to get stuck in and get it tabletop ready and use it in some games for a long time. As you can see, he is very much a Roman soldier. That is the aesthetic and the design that the original creators made, with kind of some tongue-and-cheek design options. Like I said previously, I am missing his shield, so what I did here is I took one of the Stormcast Eternal shields. It is a beautiful shield, Stormcast Eternal ones, of course. It fits him beautifully. It looks like a kind of like a Roman tower shield. Now, unfortunately, it does have a design on the front of it that won't do at all. So I do take a sharp scalpel and I do remove that design from the shield and then glue it into place and get it kind of primed up to match. This gives me a really nice flat surface to add things like transfers to later on. Now, to give you a bit of backstory, because I'm sure the majority of people who are watching this video do not know who Lorenzo Lupo is. So Lorenzo Lupo was a general or a commander option for the old Dogs of War army. So Dogs of War are mercenaries. So back in the olden days of Warhammer Fantasy, you were able to take mercenary companies to accompany your army. Or there was indeed an army list called the Dogs of War, which allowed you to take an entire mercenary army made up of so many different units, which are so diverse in like appearance. It was such a fun thing, the idea of building and painting it. And it's something that I've wanted to do for many years, and that's what I'm going to get stuck into, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to go and give you a little bit of lore. I do apologize for my pronunciation of some of these words. They're all a little bit kerfuffled, and I will do my very best. Lorenzo Lupo is the current ruling merchant prince of the city-state of Louisiana, and a self-proclaimed descendant of that city's ancient divine founders, Lucian and Luciana. That's what he currently is. He is the ruling merchant prince. Now, there's a whole bit about his some of his kind of accolades and stuff that he's done, but I didn't want to get too much into that. It's a lot of information. We'll go to a few bits about his personality. So Lorenzo is a very eccentric man in that he prefers to fight on foot in the style of his ancestors. He always takes his place in the front rank of his pikemen or leads his soldiers on board his man of war. This is very inspiring to his troops, and they are eager to fight for and defend their prince. Lorenzo follows many of the ancient classical Tilian athletic pursuits that his ancestors of Louisiana practiced, and as a result he is a very well-built muscular man, similar in appearance to a bronze statue of Lucian. He regularly rows across the Tilian Sea, wrestles the mightiest opponent, or runs from one end of his principality to the other. Such is his passion for ancient Tilian culture that often his mercenary armies are still called legions. So that should give you an indication of the kind of tongue-in-cheek, this guy is just a Roman general, and a pretty badass one at that. He does originally have a beautiful kind of sun shield, which was his kind of one of his like magical pieces of equipment or whatever, and unfortunately it is a thing that is currently now missing. I never got it when I ordered it off of eBay, so that's kind of disappointing, but I will tell you a little bit about what it was supposed to be. So it was supposed to be the Shield of Myrmidea. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. This old shield was found during the rebuilding of the Temple of Myrmidea on Louisiana's archipelagos. It dates to the time of the founding of the cities, or perhaps even earlier. The shield bears the sun symbol of the war goddess of the south and has the magical ability to dazzle its bearer's opponents. So that's a pretty cool thing, and it still once again ties into that kind of old school lore. He carries the sword of Lucian, Luciano Lupo's sword. The sword of Lucian is believed to be the actual sword used by his remote ancestor Lucian, one of the twin divine founders of Louisiana. The sword's razor-sharp edge cuts through any armor with ease. So he basically has a Valerian steel blade, I think. Now, obviously, the old world that we're currently playing and basing our games and armies on is set around the wrong time for this miniature. He wasn't even born when the old world was kind of put in. So that opens up a kind of an idea of whether or not I decide to rename this character and have him just be a different mercenary general leading my companies. Some of the awesome Dogs of War units that I do have access to are things like I've got a huge unit of Alicante pikemen and the Panther warriors. I can never remember the name of them. I've got things like a lot of the halfling archers. I've got the guys with the crossbows with the shields in front of them. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of those either. I should have really looked that up before this video, but that's neither here nor there. I have, of course, the Birdman of Kutraza, and a few other bits and pieces. So there is definitely this like cohort. I could probably put together 1,000 point, 1,500 point army of nothing but Dogs of War units already, and that's very exciting to me. And I'm kind of interested to create that, and then obviously, like I said, pair it using the Old World Empire army book, which I think is giving me access to extra things. So for instance, a unit of Alicante pikemen is a unit of Empire soldiers wearing heavy armor and carrying pikes. Now, Empire State troops can't take heavy armor and can't have pikes, which is a bit unfortunate. So they will count as light armor and will count as carrying spears. But there is the option to give them kind of well-disciplined or drilled or veteran special rules to specific units in your Empire army, which I think will be added to these units to help differentiate them from standard Empire troops. I also have quite a large detachment of Kislevite war horses. I've got about 25 of those, including a Borza and Arch Borza on a horse as well, and the Ice Queen to use as a wizard. So I can definitely see this thing coming together and using those as Empire Knights and just having this real diverse looking army. I think it will look epic. And because Empire was something that I focused so heavily on in Warhammer Fantasy, it was my biggest army by far. Definitely one of the biggest painted armies that I've ever done. There's hundreds of Empire models all painted up in the city-state of Stirling, so green and yellow. And with that kind of project behind me, starting a new Empire army, it's just like, it doesn't have the same kind of excitement. I don't want to paint another 100 state troops, you know, handgunners and spearmen and halberdiers. I want to paint something a little bit more interesting, even if I do love the rules and want to play with them. So that's where I think this style of army will come in. I think it will also be a lot of fun to bring you guys along on the journey of getting this army constructed and painted, even playing some games with it, but also kind of teach you a little bit about the backstory of each unit that I build and paint. I know I keep bringing up the Alicante pikemen, but they are an absolutely stunning unit. Like I said, they create a pike wall, and there's like 4 sculpts of miniature. There's one literally holding the pike completely upright, and then one's at like a slightly leaning forward angle, then slightly leaning forward more for the next rank, and then slightly leaning forward the next rank. So like it creates this proper like pike wall, all the pikes leaning down. Like it's so cool looking. It's something that I never really did for any other Warhammer thing, because it's kind of a pain to transport them or store them or paint them or any of those things. It's kind of a bit of a pain. But I'm willing to take on that challenge to get them all built and painted. I've wanted to do it for quite a long time. So I know obviously Kislevites are not dogs of war. They were never considered dogs of war. They're an empire unto themselves. But I think at this stage with the empire, with the Kislev range, perhaps some of their mercenary forces can be bought and paid and used in these armies. I have this whole story that I'm kind of working on with my Bretonnian force defending a particular pass, and it's a thing I'm working through, and I do hope to share the entire story with you guys at some point soon. But the inclusion of a mercenary force in that army, I think, would also work a treat. So I think that might be cool. So as you've seen, I played up through the Two Thin Coats range of paints for the orange midtone and highlight over the orange contrast. It's the only Two Thin Coats range of paints I use in this video. I know I've been leaning on it a lot lately. But basically I just wanted to match the orange that I used for my Grail Knight that I did a couple of weeks ago, and I know that those are the oranges that I used. But other than that, every other paint I use is just standard Games Workshop. So if you want to follow along with this scheme on any of your miniatures, it should be easy enough to do. I'd love to know in the comments as well how many people are watching this video have never seen this miniature before, or perhaps even saw the thumbnail and didn't think it was a Games Workshop miniature. And these are unfortunately the kind of models that fall through the granules of time, and people forget existed. And I really don't think a model as awesome as this deserves to be forgotten. Like this model, like I said, was produced in '96 and was never even put on a base. I never stripped him or anything when I got him. I got him still in his silver, never put on a base, missing his shield. So this awesome miniature has never been deployed in a table. There's never been dice rolled in anger in his name. And I think that's just a crying shame. So I do very much looking forward to getting him on a table. I think it would make it quite an interesting battle report as well. Dogs of War v anything. I think a lot of people would be keen to see how that works. And maybe I can find the older rules for them and incorporate them with a bit of old world flair and make them work with a casual game with some of my friends. I think they wouldn't mind too much facing against an army like this. Even thinking about the concept of the entire mercenary force having a matching color scheme. So think about this orange and black across an entire army kind of excites me, especially things like the Birdmen of Katraza, these big winged crossbow dudes. I think each section of their Da Vincian wings, or Wright Brothers wings, or whatever you want to call them, being orange, black, I think would actually look really, really cool, really stand out in the tabletop. And then I would just use them as a unit of Outriders or a unit of Pistoliers. You know what I mean? There's definitely things to use all models for. Another model that I have is, of course, the Paymaster for my Dogs of War collection, Midias the Mean. He was one that I was tempted to do today, but I decided to push on and just do a basic infantry first so I don't kill myself. But Midias the Mean is, of course, the Paymaster. He's a guy being pulled around on a cart, and he has the pay chest for paying this mercenary company. So in a game and using him in an Empire army, I thought it would be a great stand-in for something like a war altar, instead of people getting kind of inspired by the presence of a holy symbol like the war altar and a warrior priest belting out hymns. It's the Master of Coin being wheeled into battle beside them, so they're taking heart knowing that the pay is there, and they just need to defend this guy and get the job done, and they're going to get a little bit more gold in their purse, which I think is a pretty cool and interesting way to do it. I have added a eagle symbol to the shield. I know it's a Raven Guard symbol, but I thought it worked pretty well for something that's very Romanesque and themed. And then I used some sponging technique to weather that transfer in a little bit. And with that, I think I got a pretty gnarly looking shield. I think it looks awesome. And I think it looks kind of better than the shield he's supposed to have. Having said that, if someone sent me the other shield, his original shield, I would probably just pop this off and put the original shield on, because I'm a sucker for the model being correct. But what are you going to do? Here is a collection of still images of my finished Lorenzo Lupo miniature. I would love to know, like I said, your guys' thoughts on a Dogs of War army. Would you be keen to follow along the progress of this army coming to life, and learning a little bit more about each and every one of these Dogs of War units as I build and paint them? Okay guys, and there we have it. Lorenzo Lupo is now finished. I love the shield that I chose. I think it worked a treat. He definitely is playing into that Roman legionary kind of style, and I think it works perfectly. Love the orange and black. I've loved it when I did it on a couple of my knights, and I was tempted to do just a large portion of my Bretonians in the orange and black, but potentially the entire Dogs of War army can get fitted in to this force. Now I know we talked a little bit about obviously a Dogs of War army is usually a collection of units taken from different places and all brought together. I want it to be based more along the lines of like the Golden Company from Game of Thrones. So it is a military mercenary force who have collected units and forces and fighters from a bunch of different places, but they do share a color scheme and do look like a unified army. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do let me know. Like the video, ask me questions below, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I would like to know what you think of this crazy project and what other units you would like to see from Dogs of War done in the next couple of videos. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.